Network headquarters.
We've been taught to believe that this kind of political violence, it simply doesn't exist. And today we face a new wave of this old evil.
It's your morning addiction.
We will pursue maximum pressure on this.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell, the Zimmer News Team.
And engage in other nefarious activities, which is exactly what was happening.
And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Ships are trying to go through the straits and they're getting blown up. Commercial ships are going through the straits and they're being blown up. The United States is defending that shipping and in addition is targeting the places that are launching against those ships that continue to degrade Iran's ability to target and harm global shipping.
Marco Rubio with comments just hot off the press this morning talking about the Iran conflict as it continues to be top of the fold news. Jennifer Bukowski in for Stephanie. I'm Randy Tobler, John Marsh alongside, and of course Drake Whitman. And Jennifer, what is this, day 13, I think, right? I mean, goes on and on and on.
I think so. I think it was 10 when I did my show on Sunday, so that makes today 13. We outmatched them, so. Well,
I mean, this is the pace of epic fury pace, right? I mean, this is the way it started in terms of the massive attacks that they're making and the pace of them.
Well, that's what they're lying. We're trying to make these different memorandums of understanding, these different peace deals, and then they just turn around and violate them immediately. So you can't not have consequences when that occurs, but it's unfortunate that it's dragging on this long.
And John, Trump has said, we're going to meet your strike with a force 10 times as strong. And that seems to be, they're hitting coastal installations. They're taking out the remaining, I guess, the target list that we thought was already taken out. That's been a bit of a miscommunication.
That's right. And the Department of War also said, and the president confirmed that they're hitting much deeper into Iran now with these latest round of strikes.
Yeah.
And I heard this morning that the value of the real, their currency, is like $10 million to $1 now or something. It's incredible, right? I mean, the how it's been
Get
devalued.
real.
And inflation is just going crazy. So you wonder how long it'll be before the people turn on the regime and say, "Hey, stop it!" for crying out loud.
It's hard though because did you see they just executed 2 young men?
Oh no!
Their whole crime was as they were having those protests.
Yeah.
And the IRGC or whoever was firing upon the crowds
in the winter. Yeah. Okay.
They opened their door to let some people into their house so they wouldn't get hit or hurt by the people cracking down on the crowd. For that, they executed them in cold blood.
Well,
Isn't that disgusting and despicable and evil?
It's the tyranny of an evil theocracy. You're right. It is the face of evil. It's the face of evil.
How many tens of thousands of their fellow citizens have they killed so
like
far?
40,000 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, I sense that Trump's had it, and I want to know when he's going to stop talking.
Which the Iranians desperately need.
Mr. President, there are no signs that Iran is ready to stop fighting. So what is the plan? Is the plan to just keep bombing until they give up?
There are no signs. Why, do you know something that I don't know?
Well, they continue to attack our allies and kill Americans.
You don't know what the dialogue is behind the scenes, that they want to meet desperately to try and end it because they're getting decimated. You don't get that when you listen to your fake station.
Well, yesterday he met with the president of Lebanon, first time in 18 years. And
very interesting.
This was during that gaggle where, Hegseth and Rubio, and everyone was there in the Oval Office, one of those, sit-down clutches that he holds, gaggles. And it's interesting. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You wonder,
I wish I did.
With enough pressure in enough places. I'm so
jealous of Will Scharf, I can't even tell you.
I know.
Will Scharf is behind the scenes doing all this stuff. He gets to know all these things, and that's a guy I know, and I had an office next to him at one point. So jealous of him.
But you'd hope that with enough pressure that's strong enough and in enough places and persistent enough that they will come to the table. And this is something I've thought a lot about, and I found that I really agreed with General Kellogg when he was on with Jesse Waters last night, and here's what he had to say.
He should do, I think. One is on negotiations. Let's not negotiate. I'm not negotiating with these guys. We're going to dictate the terms of the war, and it is a war that's going on right now. We're going to keep taking out their leadership.
Number one, don't negotiate. How long have you heard it said in many places, whether it's a terrorist abduction, whether it's a hijacking, what is the thing we always hear during the Iraq War? Don't negotiate with terrorists.
Yes.
And yet we keep doing it. So, number one, Kellogg said, we dictate the terms. If I was sitting in the president's sphere, I'd say, President, the only negotiation is where would you like to wave the white flag and sign the document of surrender?
That's
the
an
only
interesting
negotiation.
perspective.
That's
we
the
haven't
only
been
negotiation.
thinking of
No.
them that way, but they are terrorists.
But they are.
They're funding terrorist proxies.
And they've played us like a
They're holding
violin.
their people against their will and killing their own people.
Look, Donald Trump has done I think this is still the right. I believe this maneuver was the right thing to do. It just strategic in terms of philosophically. Someone needed to finally grab the bull by the horns and do the right thing. I still maintain that.
Young people in our party are very against
But
it.
if you're going to do it, do it. This is always the rear view mirror of our military action over the last 50 years has been, why did we pussyfoot around? Why do we play? So,
well, I think he was hoping it would be like Venezuela, where we go in and boom, it's done.
Iran has, 98 million people and landmass the
90,
size of
like that.
California and Texas put together. So, number one, don't negotiate
They're not
with
that
terrorists.
big, are they?
Texas and it's either Texas and California or
Not
Alaska.
put together.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to look that up.
It's big. It's big. And it's big. Maybe it's Alaska. I don't know, but it's big. And they're a large country.
Well,
it's Alaska. I'm sorry, the size of Alaska.
Are they counting like the little terrorist tunnels that they have throughout the mountains and all that as part of their like landmass? Or they like
Alaska.
just square foot, like whenever you measure a house,
including the mountains?
Yeah, like inside the mountains where little terrorists go.
Well, that's right. And
it's a big spread.
Oh, they're going after Did you see they're going after Pickaxe Mountain now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they might have moved some of their nuclear aspirations.
But Kellogg said, don't negotiate with terrorists. Secondly,
the whole policy about decapitation, we need to continue that. If that means taking out Bahidi or Arachi or anybody else like that, that's fine because it destabilizes the regime. The other part, because it gives you leverage, is I would take the islands of Karg Island and Larak Island, which is like, it's further to the east, but it's like the command and control center of the Gulf.
There you go. I mean, you're hearing generals who initially were very supportive of the Trump administration tactics. They all support the strategy. They all like it. But in terms of tactically, they're not happy with this. And General Keane has been, I think, playing the same song. So I think that, I think we've seen a new phase of this. And I think Trump's going to continue to hammer them till they come to the table and say, we're done. So, I don't know. In other news,
Missouri is leading the national news with this guy that
some loser in Stone County
escaped by jumping out of his car and doing a dive, like an actual dive with his hands up off of a bridge.
He tried to escape.
And they still got him.
A patrol.
I'm like, did he die? Nope, he's alive. He's in jail.
So apparently they're eyeing the administration, according to Axios, is eyeing two possibilities. One is pursue a new 10-day ceasefire aimed at reopening the strait. Option two, the massive joint military campaign. Hey, finally, where is Israel? Maybe it's time that we say to Netanyahu, look, we can control we've got B-52s. If they want to try to reinvigorate their nuclear thing, bomb, done, you're out, good. We're done. If you want to, patrol your neighborhood, you do some ground forces. You take things over there.
When we were over there, they were basically saying that, like, we will go in and do it. Like, we need regime change for it's an existential threat to us, but they just need us to give the go-ahead because we're their most important ally and they don't want to defy us. But they're willing to do the things that we're not willing to do, including boots on the ground.
Why is Trump holding them back if that's the case?
Because like half of America hates Israel right now. And
but if all he's doing is permissive, saying go for it.
I agree.
They have been
think that
doing
they
some
should.
stuff.
I think they should. It's just that like 90% of my generation hates Israel.
And why? Do they hate Jews or do they hate Israel?
Israel government. It depends on which side you're going off of. The liberals are more of like, just all Jews. The Republicans are like Benjamin Netanyahu is pulling the strings behind everyone with AIPAC. that kind of.
Which is another kind of
conspiracy.
anti-Semitism, to pretend that Jews are the puppeteers of the world.
Yeah.
I think Hitler ran that line of thinking alone
you
for a
got that
number
right.
of years.
Yep.
And I think it is, you can intellectually, honestly make a differentiation between having animus for Jewish people, but also really radically disagreeing with the aggressiveness of the Israeli response to Hamas and, the civilian injuries as collateral damage. You can have that discussion. That doesn't mean you're anti-Semitic. Sometimes I think those things get conflated unfairly.
Well, you can have that whole discussion backwards and forwards, but it all cycles back to the bad guys are an existential threat for the nation of Israel, and they aren't for us.
Right.
Yeah.
At least at this stage of the game. But
that's their plan. It's like they didn't invite. They affirmatively said to all Western European countries, you're not invited to Khomeini's funeral because you're on the wrong side of history, because their plan is to take out Western civilization.
You're right.
Good luck with that, guys, but that's their plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there was this other juicy thing. I'm going to come back to this a little bit later in the show. Hey, we're going to be talking with Ed Lewis at 8 o'clock, Representative Lewis from Moberly, but Macon County, Randolph County, in that area. He was driver behind this amendment 4. I heard your conversation yesterday. Jen's in for Steph today, and you guys did a great job yesterday, really unpacking, the thing, the A1 with Kurt Schaefer. Mm-hmm. We talked a little bit about A4 and A5 with Representative Martin the other day, but Representative
vote
Lewis
yes.
was.
You can vote yes right now.
Yeah, that's right. He was behind this bill in the House, so we'll talk with him at 8 o'clock about that. But did you hear that? Did you get any of the back and forth between some of the Republicans questioning this Anthea? What's her name? Anthea. Hartig. Anthea Hartig
one?
from the Smithsonian.
Oh,
this was Representative Nancy Mace.
Do you believe that men can become women?
Ma'am, as the director of the museum, that's not relevant in this case.
It's very relevant. You've got men dressed up as women, and you have them on displays in front of kids. Do you think men can become women, yes or no?
So RuPaul's Drag Race, which is the upper...
It's a man. RuPaul is a man who dresses like a woman, literally.
Correct.
What is a woman, Dr. Hartig?
As a director and as a historian, it's not my opportunity.
You sexualize the American History Museum, so this is a fair question. What is a woman?
So at the museum...
What is a woman?
We strive to represent and not categorize all Americans.
Okay.
Woo! It got hot, and we've got some more of it coming up on the program. You're listening to Wake Up Missouri, the Daily DC Rundown with John Marsh in a moment.
It's Wake Up Missouri
women are going to be able to do it, but they need to have leadership. When will you show leadership?
We have leadership.
When will you show
Why don't
leadership?
you show some leadership and stand up to your fellow Democrats who won't fund the troops, who stand and play partisan politics while you don't give us the money? You want to stand up here and talk about the troops? You won't show any political courage to actually fund our department because you have Trump derangement syndrome and can't actually commit to anything meaningful. So I put this on you, Senator.
Secretary Hegseth, you have trillions, you have over $1 trillion you're asking.
Well, a little fireworks in Congress yesterday. John Marsh with the Daily DC Rundown.
Yep, that's what happens when War Secretary Pete Hegseth goes to the Hill, telling lawmakers the Iran war has cost about $37.5 billion. Sources out there say the total cost could be higher. U.S. military releasing the name of the fourth soldier now believed to have been killed in the Iranian strike on a U.S. base, and identified another service member killed in Iraq, bringing the total number of U.S. deaths to 18. American forces launching yet another consecutive night of strikes on Iran. About 6,600 people who indicated they were non-citizens while getting their New Jersey driver's licenses or state IDs were registered to vote in 2023 and 2024, according to Governor and former Congressman Mikey Sherrill. The governor, a Democrat who just took office, blamed the Motor Vehicle Department and a software error, but said a preliminary analysis showed that about 400 of them were able to actually cast ballots. New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani concedes the city does not have the authority to arrest Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Mamdani vowed all through his campaign that if Netanyahu visited New York, his cops would enforce the International Criminal Court arrest warrant accusing the Israeli leader of committing war crimes. But in social media last night, Mamdani says city lawyers had concluded they will not be able to seek the Israeli prime minister's arrest. Good for the cops who want to go up against the Israeli Secret Service.
My administration has reviewed every avenue available under applicable law to determine whether New York City could execute the International Criminal Court's arrest warrant if Benjamin Netanyahu came here. It is clear that we do not have the independent legal authority to enforce this warrant. The federal government, however, does, and I call on them to join the ICC and execute this warrant.
Interesting.
Who does he think he is?
Well,
this is a foreign country. Like, you are a mayor of a city. It's a big city, but who do you think you are that you can interfere with our foreign policy like that?
And what does it say to his integrity when this was one of his major campaign planks and he didn't do his homework and he pulled one off on the people? It says as much about the people who voted for him as it does for him.
He probably knew the whole time he couldn't do it, and he was lying.
Of course he's a disgrace. The guy is a disgrace to American version of democracy. And yet he claims to be one that represents the people. This guy is...
That's what socialists do. They represent the people.
And then they kill them.
I don't know why, but the other day it flashed across my mind. This guy reminds me of Carpathia in Left Behind.
Who's Carpathia?
The Left Behind series about the Antichrist. It was a religious series about, Revelation and the end times and everything. Charming, charismatic, and absolutely the devil. This guy reminds me of a political antichrist. Hey, Drinkwitz with some stand-up when we come back.
I think just local news is like
Welcome back into Wake Up Missouri. Stephanie's out, Jen's in today, and John Marsh and Drake are in, and we're, I thought I would get, once in a while I try to figure out how to get Drake, going in the morning, right? Will a cup of coffee do it? Well, what is it that's going to sort of tweak Drake?
Oreos.
I already know this is going to
And so I mentioned, I thought, you know what? I saw something that Eli Drinkwitz was talking about, and it was about Kansas. Because we're going to be playing, when are we playing Kansas? Was it the first game?
September 11th.
Yeah, coming up soon. Ooh. So he was on a show the other day, and here's what he had to say. It was on a satellite radio show, but here he is.
It's very important. It's very important for the region. It's very important for us to continue to make investments in the sport. I think anytime you're continually asking fans to donate, you better have something that causes them to invoke that emotion.
Drake's going to donate.
When you talk about the University of Kansas, what's the best thing that comes out of the state of Kansas? I-70, okay? All right. And what do you call a good-looking girl in Kansas? A tourist, okay? So just so we're on the same page, it's important that you have rivalries, and it's important that you play those. And our guys understand that's a big-time game for us, and it's a big-time game. I mean, this thing goes all the way back to the 1800s, and people lost their lives in the burning of Kansas. They lost their lives.
So I wasn't aware of that history.
Jayhawkers?
Yeah.
But over the sports rivalry?
No, over slavery.
Well, yeah, okay. Not over the sports rivalry. Although, talking to Drake sometimes, yeah. I don't know. I don't ever want to see a confrontation with Drake and a Kansas fan. I
had a confrontation with some Kansas fans. Yeah.
How'd it work out?
It was right after we won, and me and my buddy went straight to the cigar shop and sat outside of the stadium and we're heckling fans.
That's not nice. If they come here, you should be polite. That's my
Not
opinion.
even close. This is Kansas. This is KU, Jen.
You can't be rude to people who come. When we go to games away, I appreciate the people that welcome us. They go out of their way to welcome us.
I don't know what games you are going to, but that is not at all what I've
like experienced. Alabama.
You were
Mississippi.
Alabama
Florida.
doesn't view us as a threat. Alabama doesn't view us as a rivalry. I mean, we haven't won in 50 years against Alabama. That's why they're nice. They're like, oh, here's our little cupcake game.
Maybe.
But Kansas, no. Not even close.
Hey, we don't call it the border war for nothing.
That's right. Now, okay, so we have Drake lit up. That Mamdani clip got Jennifer lit up. If you're just joining us on Wake Up Missouri, Jennifer's in for Steph. And Mamdani just realized that, I guess I can't arrest Netanyahu because I don't have jurisdiction. Here's the rest of what he had to say as he looked at the camera in a very attempt at gravitas moment.
He's always smiling. I want to smack him.
That's the Antichrist fake charisma that captures people's hearts and minds and lulls them into a sense of unbelievable self-destruction.
Not me.
And I want to be equally clear. Benjamin Netanyahu is not welcome in New York City, nor is any other war criminal at large. While we cannot end the genocide on our own, we can decide whether our silence will become another weapon, and we can examine every tool we have to defend the humanity and dignity of all people. That is my commitment to you.
Is there a conflict of interest here since he's Muslim?
You don't think so, do you?
I feel like that should be a bigger point.
No, not much
than
of a
just him
conflict
being,
Can you imagine the mayor?
He's mayor of a city that has the biggest Jewish population outside of Israel.
So this has you triggered, huh, Jen?
Yeah, it has. He's in a foot race with Ilhan Omar as my least favorite politician in America.
I mean, I can't believe that New Yorkers. Well, I guess the people that pay the wages of the people who elected him are outnumbered by the people who's elected him, right? By the employees, by the workers. The workers haven't thought this through very much, though. If you're a deli owner, a Jewish deli owner in New York City, and maybe you're getting close to retirement and you've thought about it in 5 years, but you're looking at this and going, I got some friends and family down in Naples. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
There go 10 employees. How's that working out for you, Mamdani voters? Have they thought this through? We've already seen a flight of, it's reported $10 billion out of, employer-wise, out of New York City. And he's only been in office, 6
annually.
months? Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good. Their percentage of, they used to have 12.7% of the nation's millionaires, and that went down. In 2010 they did. That went down by 4%. Now, it's still a ton, but that data is a few years old now. I bet when they next evaluate it, it's going to be even lower. Because you'd have to, millionaires, they're not going to just stay there when you have a guy openly talking about it, confiscating your wealth, confiscating your property.
I think about it. If you go through just ladies and gentlemen, go through your life story. You start out as a kid. Who'd you work for? Maybe you did lawns or shoveled snow or raked leaves for the rich guy down around the corner, right? And maybe sometimes it was grandma and grandpa down the corner and you just helped them out. And then you went to work, and like I did, for Jim Strube back at Strube Music Company in St. Louis, Missouri. I laid carpet. I cleaned carpet. I painted walls. Then I was an assistant manager at the store, and then I taught some trombone lessons. And Mr. Strube had a place at the lake and a nice boat. And I was thankful that Mr. Strube had enough money to pay me to do that. And then I worked for a guy named Jack Engler in the music business who was in society. I think his wife was connected through society, lived in a rich area in St. Louis, and he had a dance band, played all the debutante parties, the Veil Prophet Parade, the Fleur de Lis Ball, where all of the Catholic girls would come out and do their
where all
thing.
those evil people are that shouldn't exist, huh?
Prophet.
And you know what? I made,
goodness.
relative to some other people my age, I made pretty good money as a musician because Jack Engler had connections with wealthy people that paid a lot of money to have a band at their party. And then I went on. You start thinking about this, ladies and gentlemen. And you begin to wonder, why are they demonizing the people that pay their wages? What in the world are they thinking? What in the world are the DSA voters? Are the young skulls full of mush that Drake talks about that, aren't thinking things through? Yeah. And they just shake their fist at the man, and they've got their crescent and sickle. And
they'd rather see themselves as victims than roll their sleeves up and work hard and try to achieve the American dream on their own. It's easier to have a scapegoat. And the Jews are the easiest scapegoat of all.
And let's follow it through. So then I became a doc, and I was able to provide the means to hire a young lady out of the ghetto who took care of her sister, a brilliant young African-American woman who took care of her sister's kid at age 19. She had to adopt her sister who was a crack addict on it. And Stacey Robinson, I was able to pay her a living wage so that she could, and I tried to do whatever I could to support her. And I'm not bragging about this, but I can tell you there are many, many people listening to this program, business people, who started out just like I did, who became business people, who supported young people. Stacey Robinson ended up becoming the head of labor and delivery at USC Southern California Hospital.
Good for her.
My point is, these people have a life story that is antithetical to America.
They do.
They've been entitled. They tend to be blue blood, silver spoon kids that are now supporting the DSA and supporting Mamdani. And they get their little compatriots that are non-engaged and hang out with their laptops, eating their THC gummies at the coffee shops.
Getting tattoos and piercings.
And they don't know what it is to be appreciative of someone who themselves has worked hard, built a business, and then gives it back by way of hiring someone to expand their business and rewarding them with something called a paycheck, and in many cases, a 401k, and sometimes even health care. And I am just sick and tired of the lack of awareness, and it circles around to what we talked about with the Smithsonian gal. All they talk about is oppression. I'm either oppressed or you're the oppressor. I'm the victim and you're the perpetrator. I'm disadvantaged and you're privileged.
And nothing's in my own control. Oh, it's not my fault I didn't do well on the test. The teacher didn't like me. That's not fair. You could have studied harder. Hello. There's opportunities for all, but they refuse to see it because it's easier to whine and complain and blame others.
So it just frightens the heck out of me. Mamdani doesn't worry me. There will always be Mamdanis. There was Mao Zedong. He thinks he was the greatest guy ever. There was Lenin. There was Trotsky. There was Marx. There's always been people who rise up and tell other people to shake the fist at the man that provides the living for their home. But
But take them seriously, because those
wrong?
types have taken over other countries and ruined them before.
It's
We
the
can't be
people.
complacent.
What is wrong with you people? If you think this is what got you to having a supercomputer in your phone for a few $100, is that the kind of mentality that enables you to buy a big screen at the big box store for $200 and you can see anything?
They
Is
just
that the
assume all of
mentality?
that will just be there, but they should be able to divvy everything up without contributing to it one iota.
I don't know.
Sounds a little like communism.
Just a little. Just a little. I mean, it's just earth-shattering to me that our schools have, for 100 years, there's been this inexorable push. Started with the
New Deal.
Well, actually, before that, in the progressive movement in the early 1900s, when they purposely said if you can control the children's minds through education, you can control the population. Right? They knew that. I summarize it, but that's what the progressives thought and knew, and over and over they have developed an education system that has taught people to hate their government, hate their institutions, and now it's come
Not have families.
hate America.
Listen to your teachers over your family.
573-874-9390, the number. That's our text line. 800-529-5572 if you want to call. It just saddens me because the people that have the means and live the life that other people are legally or mostly illegally in the last 5 years before Trump came in, clamoring to come to our country. They will do anything to come to this country. And yet there are people who live in the lavish bounty of this country, and they want to destroy it. They want to bring it down.
Mom, Donnie.
I have contempt
That
for that guy.
Ugandan, we should not have let that Ugandan in my opinion.
I don't know, man.
That's where he was born, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
It's he's a globalist, communist, Marxist threat to our very existence, this guy. Watch out for him because he's charismatic as all get out. Hey, there's a test that can tell us a little bit about our risk for having dementia up the road, a simple blood test, but not so quick. We'll talk about that on Make Missouri Healthy again.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
The silent epidemic that's not so silent, many of you are probably aware of that. Maybe parents, maybe yourself, maybe brothers and sisters who are showing some cognitive decline, memory loss. You wonder about dementia. Eventually it may be diagnosed. Maybe it's just normal process of aging, and you lose a little bit of the sharpness. And there are those normal declines. Well, now researchers have found that there's a test that is akin to the smoke of the amyloid brush fire. You've heard about amyloid plaques that are built up in Alzheimer's disease, and those are sort of it's already out of the barn kind of evidence of things being problematic. Can be seen on neuroimaging. But now there's a blood test. It's widely available. I'm not recommending everyone get it, but for those who are over 50 and have some symptoms, doctors are now having these discussions with patients. The protein's called p-tau 217. It doesn't fully predict your individual risk of having dementia, but certainly probably 75, 80% chance of developing cognitive impairment within 10 years if it's elevated, if it's high. Even moderately elevated levels may indicate an increased risk. The problem is, if you just want to get the test, I would really ask you to be careful about that now that people can buy their own test in many cases just, on reference labs.
Why is that?
The reason being that, again, it creates a lot of potential false worry, and that alone can be destructive. It can interrupt with sleep. It can cause other, mental health problems that then can have ramifications. But certainly it's a discussion that you may want to have with your doc if you are having cognitive issues, and there's some testing that can be done. Relatively short form things. We've heard Donald Trump talk about how he smashed those, cognitive tests. And, we do those in the office if someone is concerned, and very often turns out, I'm really not too bad. I'm doing okay. But this test is interesting in that there are actually things that can be done now. They're extremely expensive. There's a window of opportunity to decrease the levels of these sort of it's related to amyloid plaque. It is not the plaque, but when plaque starts to build, you see these things rise. These are sort of like the smoke before the fire.
So how old
most people recommend, if you're going to do it, 50 plus, associated with symptoms of decline, not just as a screening test, not like we get our cholesterol tested. Now, will that someday become maybe another approach? Potentially, but those studies are going on. So this is a really fascinating, I think, a really landmark thing that has happened in neurology. For years and years and years, there's been debate over, well, we see the amyloid, but is that just the symptom of an already established disease, or is it the cause? Well, it turns out that this may be an early enough marker that if in the right circumstance addressed with some of these modern, very high-dollar drugs, one's called Leqembi, the other is called Kisunla. They're monoclonal antibodies that help remove this stuff. And it's fairly exciting stuff. So anyway, if you're having these problems, talk to your doc. There are some screening tests that can be done. And then you may or may not want to get this test done. Again, remembering that don't get a test unless you want to do something about the result, right? And even if you don't want to do the high-dollar drugs, however, some of the standard treatments can at least help, modify the symptoms of the disease. So, look, the bottom line I'd like you all to think about, though, is remember that a lot of dementia, probably 40, 50% or more, has to do with vascular disease. The kind of things we talk about, the same risk factors that affect your heart disease risk, kidney disease, stroke risk, affects dementia risk. Don't smoke. Don't overdrink. Keep your weight down. Exercise. Eat an anti-inflammatory diet. And, manage your cholesterol and your blood pressure. Really, really important in so many ways. That's it for Make Missouri Healthy Again today. All right, when we come back on Wake Up Missouri, we're going to talk about looks maxing and who is clavicular.
Oh, boy.
violence, it simply doesn't exist. And today we face a new wave of this old evil.
It's your morning addiction.
We will pursue maximum pressure on this.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell, the Zimmer News Team.
And engage in other nefarious activities, which is exactly what was happening.
And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Welcome back into Wake Up Missouri. I am Randy Tobler. Jennifer Bukowski in for Stephanie today. And I don't know if, by the way, we're following the things going on in Iran and the war over there, which has escalated, of course. Trump is threatening to strike a pickaxe mountain again. And, of course, the Houthis are Houthing, as Houthis will do. And there's just a lot of saber rattling going on, a lot of kinetic action. If anything breaks during the show, we will bring it to you, whether it is from the Pentagon or whether it is from the Middle East or wherever. We'll keep an eye on that. I don't know. I didn't get to catch all the show. I was on the road yesterday and listened to some of it. Great job yesterday, Jen, and you and Steph did great.
Thanks.
Did you talk about this clavicular guy? Did you talk about this at all?
I've talked about him before on this show or on my own, but I'm familiar with them.
Well, so there was a reporter that caught AOC, who herself, if I recall, hasn't she done some selfie things where she was talking about how she makes up and she does her wake up and stuff? She's had a little self-aggrandizing.
Okay, whoa. You're blowing this out of proportion. Clavicular is not anything like that, for one. And for two, get ready with me's are like very common.
Now, let's set the stage. The audience may not know who clavicular is, but
a loser. That's who he
clavicular is a guy who is all into looks and apparently hammers his jaw.
A lot of people do that.
What is that about?
It makes
safe.
your jawline bigger.
Well, we call that a mental
defined.
illness. When that's sort of like cutting yourself when you're.
No, cutting yourself is for attention, and like doing the jaw thing is.
So clavicular's not doing it for attention.
He's doing it as cheap plastic surgery on himself because then the bones reheal and have a stronger jawline and stronger cheekbones.
She was asked by a reporter what she thought of him.
Oh, he's the one who hits himself with hammers?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, bone smashing. He does that looks maxing. He popularized that phrase.
Yes.
What do you make of him? Some people are concerned like he's a bad role model and this sort of stuff.
I think to me it's less about himself as a person. I think it's about what leads young men to go down these kinds of rabbit holes. I think as a woman, when we've been in teenagers, we're constantly being told that our bodies are not good enough and that you're either too big or too small or too tall or, everyone's trying to nip this and tuck that. And it's all because of the messages that we're told about our worth. And I think that it's bad enough that women get that. And I don't want to see that extended to young men.
That's actually the smartest thing I've ever heard.
I hate to say it, but I don't. I hate to admit it, but we agree with AOC. Is that true? Now, here's what he said after he heard this on his podcast.
But that's the thing. You're not actually happy unless you're good looking. You're just coping. You are just coping, living in fantasy land. So that's not actual happiness. It's delusion. You can't be happy if you're ugly. It's not possible.
This kid is 20 years old, and it's obvious. He's so myopic, so self-centered. It looks maxing. It's internet slang for trying to improve one's physical attractiveness as much as possible. And now it's mostly referred to with young men and men or boys. And I'm like, so are you talking about what women have been doing since the dawn of time? Like trying to make themselves look more physically attractive? This is not new.
But he's not
now
wrong.
the boys are doing it. It needs its own term.
Is he saying out loud what everyone thinks and maybe knows?
I feel like there's a limit.
There's a limit.
You can't be happy unless you're attractive?
I'm not agreeing with him. I disagree with that.
Yeah.
But listen to what he says here.
Being ignorant to the looks pill and lookism is only going to serve to detriment you, right? It might be an initial challenge for you to accept that being good looking is one of the most important parts of someone's life, right? And if you're not within that category, sure, that's going to suck to hear at first. But if you're ignorant to that, you're just going to be going around approaching girls out of your league, missing out on opportunities but not understanding why. So I really don't think it's in anyone's best interest to not know about the black bill, to not know about looks maxing.
Now,
wrong. No, he's.
But we've
fully
talked
wrong.
about before how when it comes to entertainment, look at the Fox network versus CNN. You have a lot of good-looking people on that network. They're talented, but they also are good-looking. Look at Donald Trump organization. I've heard it said, and it's been reported that they overtly make sure that they hire good-looking people.
I mean,
so
they're just the ones that are self-aware about it, but that's like the most discriminated against group of people in society is ugly people.
I agree. No.
Okay, but you can do sometimes you can do something about it.
Which is kind of the same, similar.
When you it's not whether you look ugly or you look pretty naturally or whatever. I mean, it's whether you put the time into yourself to make yourself look your best.
I agree.
That's a big thing.
And so many people in the left, that this is brought up by Stephen Miller, they're like tattooing themselves all over, piercing everything.
Exactly.
They're overweight. They've got spiky, different colors of hair. They're like manifesting on their outside. They're like inner hatred for
the guy's
everything.
a total boob and narcissist and everything else that I could think of. But
and he's 20.
But
I mean,
it's fair to recognize, and I think if he were to say, you know what, it's really important that no matter how you look, you're well groomed, you have poise. I've seen people that aren't the most attractive, but they have poise. They carry themselves confidently. And
just look like you have your act together. That'll get you a long way.
And their demeanor is very, it's high impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
not everyone can be a model, but if you just have yourself put together, that can really help people trust you, want to be around you, associate with you.
I keep telling Drake, not everyone can look like Randy, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, God, if
Randy,
I look like
it's
you.
a burden, I'm having to push the girls out of the way on the way into the studio with their signs up for Randy Tobler. Like, Randy, we love you. I'm like, girls, he's married. He's a married, happily married man.
That's why I love
you need to go home.
That's why I love the radio, folks. When you got a face for one, you love the radio.
No, well, I mean, Randy, you don't give yourself enough credit. You look like a stud in the 90s. I got to tell you, with your mustache, from all the pictures I've seen, you look like a stud.
When did you see him pictures of Randy in the 90s?
I had better days. But my point is, think about it. The presidents. I've been Bill O'Reilly with a previous radio gig I had. They brought Bill O'Reilly into town, and the guy's not the best, but he's tall. He's impressive. He's George Bush, tall. Barack Obama, tall.
Yeah, tall.
Good-looking guy. Tall, big.
Too.
When it comes to guys, there's a certain description, and you know what?
That's why I wear heels. I want to be looking taller.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've seen studies on people shown like how what is your opinion of this person? Do you find this person likable? Whatever. Pick the positive word. The angular jaw is a very important thing. Mm-hmm. And if you just take a look, people that have sort of that triangular jaw, it's like, man, all right, they got one up on me. Oh, sorry.
Oh, and they're getting it through surgery a lot. All these Korean actors, the men, they are overdoing it. Have you noticed that? You look at them all, and they're all starting to look the same, and they all just have have massive jaws. That is not natural.
What's really sad about Clavicular and the people that follow him is it is so patently false and so patently just destructive to think that you can't be happy unless you're good looking. You may not be as successful if you're not blessed with natural beauty and attractiveness. You can certainly be happy.
Huh.
And it's just a message that, man, young men are gravitating to this, and I don't get it. I don't understand it.
I kind of think it's just because it's so stupid.
Do they
like
not
the
have...
whole mogging thing? I don't think there's a big following of Clavicular got this certain bone jaw crusher. I'm gonna get that and look like him. No, it's more of just kind of like an ironic. This guy.
I've been saying,
and he's probably lying about using hammers and stuff. He's probably going to a plastic surgeon.
No, he's making a living off being an influencer, and we're talking about him on the radio.
That's true.
So I've been waiting to ask this question of Jen all night, and since I put this on the sheet last night. Did your husband listen to the show?
No.
Oh, good.
He listens to my show.
So I got to know, what's your opinion? Is this guy, on a scale of 1 to 10, is he successful? Is he looks maxed out?
Oh, he's attractive.
Okay. Well, I didn't ask that. I said on a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh, I don't know.
You
He's
need a
too
number.
young for me to really have a opinion. But yeah, he has the broad chest, which I thought I heard, I don't know for sure, that was a surgical thing that he had done.
Yeah, so I wondered
to make his clavicle like wider.
Yeah, the doc in me and thought, clavicle, that's clavicle, that's collarbone.
That's like
what is
collarbone
that? What's with the collarbone? Did he break his collarbone and have it somehow
There's something like that. Yeah, I thought I heard that,
Just
but I don't want to
throw the shoulders back or something, or what?
There is some sort of, I heard, and I wish I could find it now.
I don't get it.
That there's something you can do to make that wider.
Well, if you work in or are involved in an orthopedic surgeon's office, have you broken any clavicles with the looks maxing craze? I'm just wondering. I've broken clavicles to deliver a baby and get a big baby out.
Well, have you ever shot a dead alligator? Because that's what clavicular got arrested for.
I was about to say, I just looked on, I looked up a picture of him, and his wiki page, his profile picture is just his mugshot. So, I mean, he doesn't look as looks maxi there.
No.
He doesn't in his other pictures.
It might have been before some of the work he got done. Who knows?
Well, this whole thing is just, the culture story around this is just fascinating to me.
Well, just think about before him, it was the Liver King and everyone trying to get as much gains as possible. I mean, it's just.
So who's mentoring young men that would say hey, Uncle Joe, friend Bob, boss, Susie, I would think maybe an older man might be the most likely mentor for a guy, but maybe not.
Well, you know who I like as a mentor for young men, actually, a little bit, is Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
He's getting married. He's just a good dude that's got his stuff together, and he's a creative genius and
sadly,
super successful.
Sadly, Charlie Kirk
he was excellent as well.
Was a huge mentor. And Jordan Peterson, even though he's an old guy, he's off the trail now, but he had a huge following around young men.
A lot of young
and he was
people.
really telling men what they know and need and want to hear. It's like they say about raising kids, kids want restriction. They want structure. They want, even though
it makes them feel better and safer.
Even though they throw a tantrum, they want that. Young men know what's good for them in their core, in their genes, they know it. I think they're looking for,
like not hitting yourself in the jaw with a hammer.
Yeah, they're looking for value in all the wrong places with clavicular. Wow. All right. So when we come back, I think I might buy some artwork. I think I just might buy some artwork because there's a bonus that you get when you buy artwork. Stay tuned.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
artwork. I know, Jen, you love art. You love the arts and the humanities, don't you? Yeah, music,
Yeah, I like art.
Yeah. Well, Hunter has some
oh boy,
some artwork for sale. Now he's down to wasn't he getting like $500,000 for the paintings at
he was
one
getting
point?
ridiculous money laundered amounts.
Well, now he's trying to he's still trying to sell his paintings. $54,000 for his paintings. And now this, I don't know, John, Jennifer, in for Steph, and Drake. This may tip it for me. You could get a video call with him, a Zoom call with Hunter Biden.
Oh,
for
wow.
$54,000.
Well, that's what I want for my birthday now.
I'm going to say how much you have to pay so there's no video.
Wow.
What's he going to... I've seen some videos with that bro. Like, what kind of condition will he be in? That might be interesting.
So he's selling a 3-foot by 3-foot canvas called Watchers for $54,000. Every sale includes a private video call. This must be giclée. This must be like reproduced on canvas.
Huh.
In which he speaks personally about the painting on a personal phone call. Wow.
Okay, I will talk to the higher-ups and see if we can get that painting here and have Hunter Biden have a little clip on air.
Now, the painting is interesting. It has sort of a tropical theme. There's an owl. It looks like it looks like maybe an African continent man with a woman putting her head into his clavicle, sort of resting his head on his shoulder, her head on his shoulder. And a little baby. It's called Watchers. It's got some animals and flowers and stuff. It's not a bad painting, but $54,000. It's not the painting, man. That's just that call with Hunter. What if you were on?
Well, then it's like a talking point. Oh, that's a Hunter Biden painting. It's like some conversation thing for super Dems, I guess.
If you were to happen to be caught in an elevator with Hunter Biden, well, and assuming you'd strike a conversation, would you have a conversation? What would you ask him? John, what would you ask Hunter?
I'd ask him, let me see his laptop and see what's on it.
I'd ask who his dealer is.
Oh!
I'd ask about the daughter in Arkansas.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
How's she doing?
Ask him if he's high when he paints all his paintings.
I'm
just going to presume that.
Well, Ernest Hemingway was drunk, wasn't he? Alcoholic, I think, yeah. And I think a lot of people are
Maybe this is a smart strategy for him because artists can get away with anything.
Yeah, they can.
Like antisocial behavior, flaking out on things, stunts. Like, oh, he's an artist. So people are like, they chalk it up to that, and they don't expect like good behavior out of artists for some reason.
That's right. Yeah, like
so
Toulouse-Lautrec.
this is like maybe it's a brilliant move. Then you could be like, oh, he's on cocaine. He's an artist. That's what
like
they do.
Toulouse-Lautrec hanging out with hookers.
Yeah.
You know what's sad about the guy, and I guess it's from a Christian perspective. Okay, he's not on drugs anymore, reportedly. He's dry, he's sober, everything. But yet he's still got that nasty, vitriolic, hateful edge. You hear him on these videos. A guy who has basically turned his life around in that sense, at least, still has that mean-spirited, aspect to him. I mean, I'm glad the guy's living a better life now. Good for him. But, man, he didn't want to own that problem he had in Arkansas, And
that was really unkind.
Right. And you would think
unkind of Joe Biden.
You would think if you turned your life around and you had a second chance, that you would really go out of your way to be that, that Christ-following figure, right? And you try to do everything you could in thanks for mercy. I don't know.
Got mercy from his pop.
Yeah, he sure did. All right. When we come back, some fun with the Smithsonian Institution director, the American History Museum, when we come back on Wake Up Missouri.
Is it important to be polite?
Excuse me, sir?
Is it important to be polite?
Yes, sir.
It's also interesting because the same mass action toolkit that your organization has been promoting references politeness as a defining characteristic of white supremacy culture. Ma'am, are you a white supremacist?
No, sir.
You're not. Can you help me square why your organization says that being polite is part of being a white supremacist?
I'm not exactly familiar with that passage of the Mass Action Toolkit, which is
I can show you the passage. It's right here.
I don't. Pardon me?
I said I just read you the passage.
So that was Brandon Gill, who is making a real name for himself in these committee hearings.
He really is.
He has this way of, in a very deadpan kind of a way, asking these very just pithy questions. It's like stabbing with a dagger and just, well, here you go. I'm going to stab you now.
It's effective because he keeps things simple and short and lets them answer and make fools of themselves. His style is great. It's very, that's not even a really good clip of him. Like, there's so many clips of him. If I'm scrolling on X and I see a Brandon Gill clip, I hit play.
But he was talking with the Smithsonian director, Anthea Hartig, yesterday, and asking her about, well, here's this document that says that politeness
he said he started, is it important to be polite? She's like,
said,
yes, sir.
Well, then you must be a racist. You must be a white supremacist.
So he leads them into these traps.
Right. But I got to thinking about this. Many of you may remember, John, you remember Stephen Wright. Remember the comedian Stephen Wright? He was
the guy, you wouldn't get his jokes for a couple of minutes until you figured him out.
He would just stand there in a real deadpan kind of a way, and you'd think, God, this guy isn't funny. But then you find yourself just rolling on the floor because he sort of had a frizzy hair. He sort of had a very downcast demeanor, and he'd just stand there and do his thing.
Last summer, I drove cross country with a friend of mine. We split the drive and we switched every half mile. The whole way across, we only had one cassette tape to listen to. I can't remember what it was. It was good, though. I liked it. We were in Salina, Utah, when we were arrested for not going through a green light.
But somehow, Brandon Gill's presentation reminds me of Stephen Wright. And it's effective because it's short, it's succinct, and it's so packed full of meaning, and just... Right. And you're just not used to that. You're used to energy and power. And, with the congressmen and the senators, they're shaking their fists.
They're giving speeches. But it takes skill to really hone things down. As a lawyer, when you have to boil things down for cross-examination, that takes time to do that well.
Yes. And that's one thing you guys are really good at. You learn to be very concise. Word efficiency, right? Economy of verbiage,
Yeah, they have to put word limits on appellate briefs for a reason.
How does that prepare you for being a talking head on the radio where you have to bloviate for hours on end?
I'm bloviating now. Thanks a lot, Randy.
Well, that's what we all do here, right? We bloviate. Come on.
I just thought come in and have fun.
John, how long you been bloviating on the air?
Well, since about 6 or so.
Since age 6?
Yeah.
No, I mean... I love talk radio because you can really expand on things and you have time to develop topics and think about things. I don't do well in a very short, succinct, get it out in 10 words setting. I don't do good
TV,
at that.
I've done some TV hits, and I hate them because you're so focused on, am I looking in the right place? I look like a deer in headlights, and you can't focus on what you're saying. I love the radio for that reason. You can have more substance. You can have longer conversations, more in depth, and think about your thoughts and not... how's my hair look right now?
Like the guys down the hall, you can just play 10 in a row.
Yeah. You're right. We do get accused of bloviating, once in a while. So, Ed Luce is going to talk with us about this Amendment 4. I'm seeing a lot, excuse me, a lot of anti-Amendment 4, anti-Amendment 5 ads. Do we
I
know?
saw a bunch of signs. I'm going to pull over and look because I'm like, who is paying for a sign that says no on 4, no on 5? You know,
Yeah,
it's the same
yeah.
people that have like Black Lives Matter in their yard. So you know which way to vote. Vote yes on both of them. But like, did you set up another PAC to pay for those signs? Are those signs legal? I'm going to look.
There's a ton of money pouring in for this campaign for these various issues.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and
I was looking at the campaign
go vote
finance
yes. You can
for it.
go do it right now. You can go vote yes as soon as the clerk's
That's right.
office opens because no excuse absentee early voting or whatever is open for business right now.
Yeah, go vote if your
Bank your vote.
jurisdiction does that right now.
They
But
do. Bank your vote.
All of them do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, go out and
Statewide,
vote right
go
now.
vote.
But what I was going to say,
Well, wait
the
till 8
amount of-
o'clock a.m.
the amount of money that is in this election is insane.
Mm-hmm.
At least for the initiate petition thing.
It
that
seems
thing
that-
is insane.
it seems it's that way about any constitutional directed, ballot issue, right? Whether it's an amendment or, like that. It's a big deal.
That's the thing about when you get something on the ballot by signatures, which they do all the time to us, you already have donors and all of that set up to have a campaign. But when the legislature just puts them on the ballot without having to have a campaign where you're getting signatures gathered, there's not always that campaign infrastructure in there to get the word out. Yes on 4, yes on 5. So it's up to people like you and me to get that message out and to get those votes banked and in so that we can get these IP reform done and the elimination of the state income tax because there's a bunch of money coming in to oppose them.
No, you're right, and I think trying to spread out the representation on this Amendment 4, especially among all the people in Missouri, not just the concentration, population centers, would be a good thing. We'll see what Representative Lewis has to say about that at 8:05. Now, a very troubling development in New Jersey, in where Philadelphia,
Jersey.
Where else? California. There were 4 states that, in aggregate, had 280,000 almost?
250,000 out of 4 states, and they've identified 280,000 so far. Illegal, not illegal immigrants, well, a lot of them probably were, non-citizens registered to vote.
Okay.
There's a problem with that because, if you're not a citizen and the government all of a sudden sends you a voter registration card, you're going to think you can vote.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then the governor of New Jersey, super progressive lefty, had to come out and she tried to sugarcoat it and put lipstick on a pig. And she said, "Well, what they identify?"
6,000 of them voted. Okay.
400.
I thought it was 400.
Oh no.
But 6,600 were notified that they were registered to vote.
Yeah. So you had almost 7,000 notified that they were registered to vote. Basically, come on in and cast your ballot. Only 400 of them took them up on it. And look, at a minimum, the optics of this absolutely should propel you to support the Save America Act. Maybe 400 votes doesn't swing an election. I mean, usually doesn't on a national scale. Certainly we've seen that in local elections in all of our listening areas. But the optics of it erode the integrity and the perception of validity of the election process.
Because these are 600 people, whatever, that actually pressed no on a keypad when asked if they were citizens. So these are people that were honest when they were getting their licenses about not being citizens. But and they registered them to vote anyway.
Yeah. And
they're blaming it on the software vendor.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, well, we uncovered a mistake.
But that doesn't mean that others who are not citizens didn't go ahead and press yes, because there's no checking on that, was there?
No, that's how many. These are the ones we know about.
Yeah, these are the ones that were honest
don't?
enough to say no when they pushed the button at the DMV.
Let's see what Paul has to say. Paul, welcome into Wake Up Missouri.
Yeah, hey, you mentioned Proposition 4, hot topic nowadays. But first, let me ask, don't you guys kind of like it when you hear rankings about our state, about Missouri, how they rank in certain categories, and kind of gives you some pride when Missouri ranks high amongst states?
Well, do we ever?
Well, yeah, good question. Yeah, I mean, I've been kind of looking at some rankings, and we're 23rd in overall education performance. We're according to U.S. News and World Reports, we're like 30th in GDP growth. So it's kind of hard to find something where we rank high. But I found one.
What?
I found one where we're in the top 5.
Which one?
Missouri is number 3 in the country for having the longest state constitution.
I believe it.
Oh, buzzer on that one.
Yeah. Alabama's way ahead of the pack, but they kind of cheat with over 400,000 words. Then there's Texas. And then in number 3 comes Missouri with 85,673 words.
Oh, man.
But hey, we got to go out and vote no on 4 so we can keep adding to our state constitution because Oklahoma's nipping at our heels, man.
Yeah,
they're
you're
number
right.
4 with 84,000 words. So,
right.
so you know,
Thanks, Paul.
if we want to,
Thanks for your research, brother.
But we got to vote yes on 4, yes on 5,
people,
so that we don't keep adding to that Constitution.
So to our anti-4 friends out there, if you truly want representation with your policy making and the policies you need to abide by, wouldn't you rather have that in the hands of the legislature, which is more representative and a flexible protean, Protean, not protein, way that can change with the people's wishes and desires, rather than locked in a constitutional thing that is difficult, even though it's relatively less difficult than it should be, still more difficult than a representative legislative matter. If you really want democracy, don't just make it so easy to alter your constitution. Am I wrong, Jennifer? I mean, isn't that what you want? You want your legislature making the determination.
Yeah, because then you can vote in different people and they can tweak things. When you're putting in like the marijuana chapter that is as long as the marijuana chapter is that we adopted in our Constitution, it's like we're the lawyers that drafted this thing getting paid by the word or something. Mm-hmm. It is so long. That's not appropriate to have in a constitution, a state constitution. Look at our U.S. Constitution. It's like that amendment alone was like something like 4 times longer than the entire United States Constitution and all 27 amendments.
I know. I held up the line at the ballot. I read the whole thing.
Remember all the propositions, the multiple propositions we faced with medical marijuana.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, that was that morass took forever.
Nobody could figure it out. We discussed it on the air trying to make heads or tails out of it.
All right, John, what's coming up when you're making heads and tails of your issue or topic?
The question is dog duty or dog doobie?
We'll be back with John in just a moment.
It's Wake Up
rescue team was summoned to the tallest mountain in Scotland to rescue a Labrador retriever that got sick after consuming marijuana. A 5-year-old black lab named Tokyo started showing symptoms during a family hike. They said, we noticed Tokyo get really weak in her hindquarters and then start drifting in and out of consciousness. We're standing on the mountain thinking that was it. We were going to lose her. Efforts carried the 53-pound dog down the mountain, hampered by heavy rain, so the family called for help from the Loch Haber Mountain Rescue Team and said Tokyo was carried down the mountain on a stretcher and taken to the vet where the cause of her condition was discovered. They said she had all the symptoms of eating cannabis and had her blood tested. What gave it away was when she had her temperature taken. You know how they take temperatures with pets. She let out some gas, and it smelled completely like cannabis.
Oh, gosh, John.
It was almost like standing beside someone smoking weed. The veterinarian's diagnosis said Tokyo likely ate a cannabis edible left on the trail or, happy breakfast time, got into some human waste from a marijuana user.
Oh, my Lord.
John, it reminds me of my young nephew with the potty stuff is so funny to have him all the time. Any toilet stuff.
We're all
farts are funny.
Boys,
farts are so funny. Oh man.
Yeah, you can take the boy out of the kindergarten, but you can't take the kindergarten out of the boy.
Chuck Schumer made some noise the other day. Do you see that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, a little off mic there.
Oh, that's
super
right.
loud
Yeah.
on camera.
Well,
super loud. I was kind of impressed.
I don't know.
I don't know if he had lettuce or what the problem was there, but that was a loud one.
Yeah, it was Chuck. It came out of the other end for a change, right?
Yeah, right. That's a good one. So I wonder if you're in Scotland, they're a socialized country, right?
Well, pretty much, yeah.
And if you call a public rescue service to rescue your dog, is there a surcharge or is that covered under your, National Health Service kind of stuff? I don't know.
Might have to share the rest of the edibles with him.
Yeah, right. I wonder if the people that owned him really fessed up ever. It's like, well, yeah, we left the baggie of gummies.
Kind of wonder,
yeah. There's another. There's more to this story.
Those things, are they expensive? That's something you might notice missing if they're pricey, aren't they? I don't go buy them, so I don't really know. But I would assume they're
at the
expensive.
dispensaries is pretty pricey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd probably notice that they're missing.
How is it that the state revenues are down when we've heard about so much income from the tax on the marijuana stuff?
Well, that is way, way up, but I don't think that's making up for everything else because the feds were giving us so much money for a while there, and, politicians are spending addicts, and so they were spending it with the wild abandon.
It promises to be an interesting session next session, the General Assembly. I mean, this is going to be really interesting. If these revenue shortfalls continue,
yep, we'll have to make some.
It is going to be very, very politically tough, right? Because there's promises being made in campaigns now, and can those promises be kept under those circumstances? It's going to be fascinating to watch. We'll be keeping an eye on that, how the folks are spending your bucks, of course, all throughout the election season, or how they claim to spend your bucks. And then, of course, if they live up to those things, hope you hold them accountable. We will too, right?
State auditor pretty much laid it on the line and said major crisis is dead ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and we've asked all of our officials about that. We'll ask Ed Lewis about that when we talk with him about Amendment 4 as well. But we want to ask him about that fiscal cliff because I just don't know whether folks are in denial or if they're just sort of like, I know I got to deal with it later on. Later on, I'll deal with it. Not today.
Probably that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what Representative Lewis has to say. Thanks for being with us on Wake Up Missouri. Stay tuned for more.
from the Zimmer Radio Network headquarters.
We've been taught to believe that this kind of political violence, it simply doesn't exist. And today we face a new wave of this old evil.
It's your morning addiction.
We will pursue maximum pressure on this.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell, the Zimmer News Team.
And engage in other nefarious activities, which is exactly what was happening.
And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Well, welcome into the third hour of Wake Up Missouri. I am Randy, along with Jen Bukowski, who's in for Stephanie Bell. And Jennifer, lots of ballot issues coming up, decisions being made in an August election, which, of course, usually means low turnout. But we're encouraging everyone to get out. You have an opportunity to get out and vote early, and get out. If you can't do that, do it on Election Day.
Yeah, it's early voting now. No excuse. You can go to the clerk's office and go vote. Yes, I'm 4, yes, I'm 5.
And, John, I remember with early voting in Cole County, I remember there was a question about maybe doing some expanded locations. Did that ever come about? We talked about that with the clerk.
Yeah, I'd have to check.
We'll have to check on that.
We'll follow up with the clerk and see what he says.
Yeah, remember when that came about, it was sort of an issue that they had a little bit of some glitches there. We'll check with that and see. So make sure one way or another, get out in your local, at your polling place and do that if you can. Representative Ed Lewis joins us now, and been in the legislature for a few sessions, and a candidate for the Senate seat currently held by Cindy O'Loughlin, and a major mover and shaker and driver behind this Amendment 4 that's coming to your attention. Representative Lewis, thanks for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad to be here.
Amendment 4 is I'm seeing a lot of pushback against it, and I think a lot of misrepresentation of what the intent of it is and how it works. So let's go through that and explain, what it does, why it's there, and why people should vote for it.
Absolutely. I think a lot of some things you see, they're trying to tie Amendment 4 and Amendment 5 together and just say vote no on both, which is ridiculous because they're completely unrelated amendments. So that would be the first thing I would say. But this amendment is really an amendment to protect our Constitution. It doesn't change anything in the initiative process for statutory amendments. It doesn't do anything to change referendums. If the citizen led in referendums, doesn't do anything about that. It's only about as far as the ratification process, it's only for constitutional amendments, and we shouldn't have the lowest in the nation initiative petition constitutional change process, which is what we do currently. We have the absolute lowest and weakest process, and that's why we've had 6 initiative petitions passed in the last 8 years that have really done real harm to our state and to our Constitution.
Representative, why use congressional districts, which can be redrawn by politicians, as we found out, luckily,
sure.
as the measure here to determine whether or not a constitutional amendment can pass?
That's a great question. And, there were other choices. We started looking, I carried a bill in each of my first 5 years in the state House of Representatives. This final version was what we passed in the second extraordinary version. So you're looking at congressional districts, because congressional districts are down to the nearest voter. Each one of them at the time of their writing have to be equal in that they represent the same number of voters down to the nearest one voter as accurately as we can do that. House districts or not, Senate districts or not, both of those have a plus or minus 3% margin. I believe it's 3%, but it's, there can be some variance, but not in the congressional districts. They have to be down to the nearest voter. And we need to get representation across the state. We don't just need to raise the bar to like 66% or 57% or 60% or even 75%. We don't need to raise the bar. We just need for there to be representation across the state. If 50% of the people in the state, geographically and, just in broad statewide representation, want it, then it would be good to go in there. But that's not what's been occurring in the most recent initiative petitions.
How big of a problem is out-of-state influence on our current process, and what would Amendment 4 do in that regard?
Well, both out of country and out of state money affected Amendment 3 in 2024, which provided abortion into the Constitution, abortion on demand, and so that issue, is an issue. This does a couple of things to push back on foreign influence. One, it establishes a criminal offense for fraudulent signature gathering, because signatures that are gathered. I mean, the first part of the process is getting 6%, or in 6 out of 8 of the congressional districts, getting 8% of the signatures from the last election, and that process is really being abused, where they're paying people by the signature that they collect. They're hiring people that are not legal collectors. They should be citizens of the state of Missouri. They're not giving the person the information of what the signature they are signing, what the initiative petition that they're signing is about. They're misleading them, and all of those things make it, takes the process and reduces it, makes it to where people outside the state are having a greater effect. It also bans all foreign money. This initiative will ban all foreign money from foreign nationals or from foreign adversaries into the initiative process, either in the signature collection or in the ratification process. As far as money going into different organizations, to do advertising, and that's the biggest thing. We had $6 million from out of country in December in the 2024 amendment for abortion, and we had $20 million out of state money being spent. Just a tremendous amount of money.
That's Representative Ed Lewis joins us on Wake Up Missouri. He's from the Macon and Randolph County area, and talking about Amendment 4 this morning.
Make the argument for us about simple majority versus supermajority as the pathway to pass initiative petition reform constitutional amendments.
Well, I don't think we have a supermajority. I think we have a concurrent majority. What this would ask is that, yes, you have to get 50% statewide, but you also have to get 50% in each congressional district, just 50%, not 57, not 60, not 66, but 50% in each congressional district. I think that there's two things that I would think provide precedent for this. If you just think about the way our Constitution, the United States Constitution, was set up at the beginning, there were 13 colonies. They're trying to get them all together, and in the Constitutional Convention of 1787, they knew that if the other states other than Virginia were to get into an alliance, or if you will, the United States, a union with Virginia, it would end up being the United States of Virginia, because
looks like we lost
Representative Lewis.
Are you there?
Geographic regions, the other states, what they were going to do in the Constitution. And, why would you want to, get into a state, states like Delaware and Rhode Island? Why would they want to get in there and have no voice on big changes like taxation or treaties or anything else? So that's how we ended up getting a House of Representatives based on population, but a Senate based on geographic representation. So they had to get, if you're going to pass something, you'd have to get 50% in the geographic representation. That would be the Senate. And you'd have to get 50% in the House of Representatives, which is based on population. So our large population centers may be able to get us 50% on a constitutional amendment, but we also need to get 50% in the geographic regions of the state. There's just 8 congressional districts, and District 8 is down in the southern Missouri, below I-44, if you will, and District 6 is above I-70, the northern tier of state counties, which is what I would represent as in Senate District 18. There are 14 counties up here. Not one of the counties in northern Missouri got 50% for any of these last 6 initiative petitions. Now, it's not to say that they couldn't have if they had pursued that, but they're not even looking to get votes in District 6 or District 8 because they don't need to.
Yeah.
They just need to try to get the large population centers to agree with them. And so for that reason, trying to get geographic representation, if you're going to change the Constitution, it's not about statute, it's not about law, it's not about referendum, it's about the Constitution. If you're going to get 50%, you need to get it across the state. There needs to be broad consensus to change our Constitution.
Do you know, I know that this may not have happened because they haven't been trying to get across the state, to vote for certain things, but do you happen to know whether or not any constitutional amendments we've done would have passed under this new standard? We're all statewide.
Let's just look at this process that's going on right now. Amendment 1 and Amendment 2, right? Amendment 1 is the tax,
the water,
soil and water conservation district and park tax. It's 0.1% statewide tax, and that it goes to make sure that our parks are in great shape and that they're free of charge to Missouri residents, and it also puts it helps keep our soil and water good. And so it has things for both rural and urban areas. And in just 10 years ago, because this is just a renewal, but it's up for a ballot, it's a ballot amendment to the Constitution. It's up for renewal for this tax. It got 80% in the last time it was voted. It would have passed in every congressional district across the state. Just that one. I mean, and it's going to be on our ballot again, and it will pass on this ballot, and it will probably get 75 to 80%, so statewide, but it will also get it in each congressional district. So there's just an example. There's speculation that even something like medical marijuana could have passed in a statewide with this provision in place, this ratification in place, because there's was relatively good consensus that marijuana.
So the right to amend the Constitution will remain. You just need more geographic representation.
It's protecting a foundational document. Hey, great way to unpack this for our audience, Representative Lewis. Thanks so much for being with us. And
you're welcome.
Yeah, let's hope everyone gets out and supports it. Thanks so much.
Yes on 4.
We have to say yes on 4 on August 4th. Absolutely.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you too. Thank you. When we come back, the Morning Bell. Stay tuned.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
gains this morning as rising oil prices and uncertainty ahead of major technology earnings weigh on investors. The markets finished solidly higher Tuesday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 0.7%. The S&P 500 climbed 0.9%. And the technology-heavy NASDAQ composite jumped 1.3%. This morning, however, futures are pointing lower. Dow futures are down about 0.1%. S&P 500 futures are off roughly 0.3%, and NASDAQ 100 futures are down close to 0.9%. One major concern is the sharp rise in energy prices. West Texas Intermediate crude is trading around $87 a barrel, up more than 3%, while Brent crude is near $94, and oil is approaching a 6-week high as continued fighting involving the United States and Iran raises fear of disruptions through the raising fear of disruptions through that famous Strait of Hormuz and other major Middle Eastern shipping routes. But also, it's the unofficial start of big tech earnings seasons. So Google parent Alphabet and Tesla both report after today's closing bell. So all eyes will be on those companies.
And SpaceX that really rocketed to, pun intended, to what, $200 and some odd after its initial IPO offering at $135 is down below that now. They're underwater, which is not unusual, but they've announced
they're down below 135.
Yeah, 128 I think yesterday it closed, and they're going to announce their first earnings report under public, ownership in August. So that'll be interesting to watch. And Marco Rubio is trying to calm the markets, I think, as he was talking about us protecting things. But is that going to be a reality? Who knows?
Ships are trying to go through the straits and they're getting blown up. Commercial ships are going through the straits and they're being blown up. The United States is defending that shipping and in addition is targeting the places that are launching against those ships to continue to degrade Iran's ability to target and harm global shipping.
Now, Jennifer, you've talked about how you don't need to. Whenever we are bemoaning the fact that every time there's a uptick in the oil prices, we're all like, oh, man, why is it goes up so quickly and it takes forever to come down when the prices go? You're like, whatever. You drive an electric, right?
Yeah, I
you
have a Tesla, but everything gets more expensive. Like it's more expensive to deliver everything you eat, buy, consume. So oil prices affect everything.
Yeah, but I mean, it's true about these. I think gas prices are back up again and everything's ticking up. I saw, $3.69 the other day? I don't know. Of course, in various locales. Let us know. Text us 573-874-9390. What are you seeing locally on your gas prices? Are they up?
Yeah, I wonder
a little bit. I'd like to know where we can drive to get the cheapest gas.
And now Trump is saying that every time they shoot at a ship, they're going to blow up a bridge or a power plant or something.
But he's speaking their language, right?
Yeah.
In the Middle Eastern language, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, right?
And that's all they respect.
Yeah. So Jamie Dimon, by the way, has come out saying markets are underestimating the risks. And he would really say, I'm not really ready to buy stocks right now. They're overvalued. Interesting. Is he predicting some kind of... I bet he's buying short. Everyone's buying SpaceX short now. That's the big story out there. Well, that's the Morning Bell. Thank you, Stephanie. Did I say Stephanie? Thank you, Jennifer. Stephanie's out. Jennifer,
I'll take it as a compliment.
Beautiful job. When we come back, this guy in Missouri that's diving off of a bridge.
Yeah, go jump off a bridge.
To avoid the cops. Stay tuned for that. Into Wake Up Missouri as we continue on today, and keep an eye on things in Iran. It's really heating up over there, and of course we're going to try to bring it to you as soon as we know of anything changing. I mean, there's talking about Pickaxe Mountain and hitting that one. Trump, as Jennifer Bukowski, who's in for Steph today, said, Trump saying, what, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, right? For every ship they attack, we're going to take out a road or a bridge, right?
Right.
Okay, well, sounds like a plan to me.
Did you see?
Speaking of
Missouri,
roads or bridges,
led the nightly NBC News.
Daring getaway attempt. This is incredible. Here you can see deputies in Missouri trying to stop the driver. Then he opens the door and he gets out while the car's moving. Now you see him. Now you don't. He just dives off the bridge. That sheriff's office says they eventually tracked him down and took him into custody. Some deputies were hurt while trying to detain him. They are going to.
So the car was
dove
moving.
like head first with the arms out.
So he's the driver.
Jumps out of a moving car.
His car's moving on the bridge, and you see him like he's in the Olympics, doing a dive off the board.
Crosses opposing lane of traffic. Yep, they caught him. Well, and I was looking up, like, where is this bridge? It's like near Kansas City. He dove into Table Rock Lake. So I guess if you look at it during the daytime, it doesn't look quite as scary because it does look like, because I'm like, did he live? Was he killing himself? No, he's went and jumped off a bridge into a lake, and they tracked him down. Now he's facing charges.
Why were they trying to? This was into Table Rock, is that right?
Yep.
Why was he trying to flee, or why were they trying to stop him? Do we know? I don't think that's been reported.
They tried to stop him as he was driving. I don't know why he fled, so they ended up in a vehicle chase.
Probably some moving violation, maybe too fast or whatever. Who knows?
Yep. So now he's in more trouble. He should have probably pulled over. He's lucky to be alive, the deputies say. It's definitely a first for them. He resisted arrest, and, they suffered minor injuries. Now he's being held without bond in a county jail.
Resisting arrest, careless driving, third-degree assault, and interfering with an arrest. Huh. Kimberling City.
Interfering with an arrest.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's interesting. They don't like it when you run. I'll tell you what. If they make a note of it, I'm pretty sure the cops do in their systems. I guess if you know, you can text us and verify this. And then every time, you get a hard time. If you run from them, and especially if you get away, they don't forget that. And I think they make a note of it on your file that they pull up about you. And it's not going to be great interactions with you going forward when you interact with the cops if you have that note on your file.
And it's not lost on us how that speaks to the demands on law enforcement in terms of their physical abilities and their challenges, right?
Yeah, because if they're going to pull this guy over now, they're going to be like, okay, here he is. I need backup.
Yeah.
Well, especially when he said he headbutted a couple of the deputies before he dived off the bridge.
Yeah, but I don't know. When would that have occurred? Because he's jumping out of a moving car and then diving. Maybe after they grabbed him, he headbutted him.
Buried in the story, I see that he's a paid subscriber to the Clavicular podcast.
Are you serious?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
26 years old.
The same kind of mentality.
Athletic. Yep. Brave.
Yeah.
Not smart.
Maybe he took the hammer and didn't use it on the jaw. He used it on his brain.
Maybe.
What an idiot.
Needs a checkup from the neck up, maybe.
Yeah, really.
Well, luckily, he didn't break his neck jumping off a bridge in the middle of the night.
In other news, a victory for Attorney General Catherine Hanaway.
Yes. Yep. So she tweeted out it's a victory for the Second Amendment because there's this case involving a gun range, and they prevailed. They've been litigating over this gun range.
What was the issue?
Since 1987.
What was the issue?
In 1987, neighbors complained about noise and nuisance or something, and so then they got shut down. But then they passed a law and they got reopened. So this thing has been going on a long time. And in any event, the Missouri Supreme Court just ruled in favor of the gun range. The Attorney General's office had entered to assist with that. So it's good on Hanaway and her office protecting the Second Amendment.
If you have neighbors in a county and they shoot off their back porch, target practice, and there's a big cornfield behind, is that okay? I guess you can do that. I guess.
I'd have to research that to let you know, because I don't know.
Scares the heck out of us when they start doing that. The neighbors.
Yeah, because the bullets. I wonder too, because I live out in the country and you hear people firing, and it's like, do you know what is behind where you're?
Yeah,
aiming?
I mean, you're going to be liable. No matter if you're, you're out in the county and all that. What's downrange? You don't want to hit the neighbor's livestock or their buildings or whatever.
Yeah,
or
you're always
neighbor.
hearing stuff about, like, even if you shoot up in the air, sometimes it'll come down and kill someone.
Yeah, it's true.
It could be far away, but it can happen.
I don't know. I just, I've often thought, if you're going to, at a gun range or whatever, should there be like should there be like a breathalyzer there? You got to puff and make sure you're not inebriated when you're shooting.
I don't know.
Shooting while intoxicated, is that a law?
Yeah,
SWI?
You're not supposed to be. Yeah, you're not supposed to be wielding a gun while drunk. It's against the law.
Yeah. Okay.
You're not supposed to carry loaded firearms concealed while you're under the influence as well.
So I'm wondering if you're at your residence where you're more likely to be, having a beer, hanging out with you while you're shooting. Wonder how many people are doing that.
Yeah.
A lot
and
of people.
Fireworks are another thing.
A lot of people hunt when they're drinking, and that's always troubled me. I always warn everyone not to do that. It's very dangerous because your judgment's clouded. No doubt about it.
That, especially if you have kids out there with you, that is completely irresponsible and should not be done.
Yeah, so you guys hear me coughing and raspy voice. I'm over the cold, but when you get over a cold, you got the inflammation. It's sort of like after a war. Think of Ukraine. Think of Kyiv. The war's over. The drones are gone. Everyone's gone. But there's
happens.
destruction, smoke coming from the cinders. That's what's going on in your lung and your throat and your sinuses after you get a cold. So thanks for putting up with that. I've had that. Rebecca has a question for Jennifer. I thought we always want to vote against amendments to the Constitution. Just want to make sure voting correct. So it's a catch-22, right? If we're for restraint on amending the Constitution, you're asking people to vote for constitutional amendments.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking of that irony when we were doing that interview earlier of the representative. Yes, normally there's a lot of amendments that are put on there by out-of-state actors. This is to rein that in. So in this instance, yes, you want to vote yes on 4 and yes on 5. Generally, I don't want to vote for constitutional amendments for things because I think there's better processes, but this is an exception, and it's kind of ironic. But yes, I agree. That's not the proper way. I just don't like putting everything in the Constitution, but this will rein that in. Yeah. And then we need to get rid of the state income tax so that we can stop falling behind all these states that don't have one. And you see Tennessee has you look at their skyline, it's like a flock of construction cranes out across that city. They are booming. They are going gangbusters. Missouri, we look at our public school enrollment, we're declining, and we got to do something to turn that around and right the ship. And thankfully, Governor Kehoe got this done. The legislature got this on the ballot, and now it's up to you and me to get out there and vote yes on 5.
How much of our drop in public school enrollment is because people are moving to private and parochial schools?
I don't know.
And homeschooling? Probably not substantial. It's probably population mostly. But I know there's a lot of people that are jumping off the public school ship. They're saying, look,
it might just be enrollment. Like our high school graduates are declining, not like as a percent, but just as numbers wise.
Right.
We just aren't, our population is going down. So we need to have more babies, especially if you're smart, have lots of babies. And, or even if you're, everybody have more babies, especially if you're listening to this program. And, get rid of this income tax so we can be booming and thriving again in Missouri. Yeah. We used to be ahead of Tennessee in every objective measurable. Yeah.
Well, think about this. So we've been talking about the Smithsonian Institution and the gal who runs it, and how she took a beating in congressional testimony yesterday. Because they're saying Mickey Mouse is racist because it was something about the minstrels and all that. Well, no, there's another story about that. Walt Disney lost the rights to some rabbit. And
Oswald the Rabbit, and came up with Mickey Mouse, and the big white gloves have also something to do with the Charlie Chaplin era, which was in the movies at that point. So the Smithsonian Institution influences U.S. public education. They have a curriculum, they have resources, professional development, digital tools. I'm frankly, the less woke
DEI, federal, Smithsonian, lefty, you crazy lefties out there. I don't want them influencing my kids if they're going to public school. Sorry. I want more choice.
Yeah.
Especially if the Smithsonian is going to be, teaching this. You're either an oppressor or you're oppressed. You're either privileged or you're not. You're going to get your piece of the pie or you're not. Shake your fist at the man. Everything's racist. Everything's
Nothing's in your
victim.
control. Blame others for everything.
Gary's on line 1 on Wake Up Missouri. How you doing, Gary?
Good morning. I really am. I think it's great that Missouri could eliminate the state income tax, but I think it's very, very disingenuous that we don't know what they're going to replace it with, because I think it's going to negatively impact, not me, but it's going to, if you got 3 or 4 kids and a very much a blue collar, middle of the road income, your percentage, when you start paying a 20 or 25% sales tax on medical, legal, car service, all those other things that you don't pay sales tax on now, I think it's going to negatively impact as a percentage of income those people. And I think it's really terrible that we don't know how they're going to replace it.
That's a possibility, Gary, but empirically, I've done the research. If you look at Texas, Tennessee, Florida, they don't tax those things, nor would it be politically prudent at all for politicians to tax those things when there's a...
Why don't they put it in? Why don't they put it in part of the proposal?
I don't know. I'm not arguing. I don't know their mind, but my argument on that be because it shouldn't be the legislature should determine these things. You don't want that codified in the Constitution, right? You don't want that.
So you have
there.
the flexibility to
you're
make
saying,
adjustments.
I guess, there could be an exclusion in the Constitution.
Yeah.
They could do that.
But it's not your blue-collar families that are paying lobbyists that might have to pay sales tax on the lobbyists. There's things that are out there that could be taxed that wouldn't disproportionately affect lower-income people.
It's a distrust of the legislature is what I'm hearing, Gary.
Yes,
right?
It is, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah,
is.
sort of a Nancy Pelosi thing, like, you have to pass the amendment to find out what's...
That's part of my problem with amending the Constitution. I mean, I don't...
But at least they can't print money, so they'll have to figure something out.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, Gary, thanks. Good talk. Good banter about this, and nice debate. There are good points, I guess, on both sides. All right. Hey, there's a very sinister scam based on AI that happened in Boone County, but it's going to affect all of you. All of you. In fact, the whole nation better be on guard for this. Talk about it when we come back.
It's Wake Up
Hauswirth joins us. And Brian, John, you guys are going to be reporting on this story, I think, more and more. Of course, there's a story out of Boone County, but I think this is going to affect everyone. Tell us about it, Brian.
Yeah, it's a story. Sorry. Yeah, good morning, Randy. You guys are sounding great. You and Jennifer Bogowski, both great job. But this is a story we've been reporting on locally. It's the first time this has happened in Boone County, but as you mentioned, obviously they believe it could happen again. This a case, to give a Reader's Digest version of this. This was a incident that happened on Friday, and we had a couple here in mid-Missouri, the Columbia area. They're not giving the exact location for security. I understand that. They got a call, and it was definitely their daughter's voice. And the daughter had said that she had been kidnapped.
At gunpoint.
And essentially they were asking for a ransom. There were 2 suspects on there. It was definitely the daughter's voice. They had to send a coordinated response out.
Wow.
She was located fine. The young lady was located in Jefferson City. They're not saying exactly where, again, for security reasons. And they said this is a new method of trying to extort and scam money from victims. I've been in touch with, and I checked again just moments ago with Brian Lear just to make sure there's nothing new on suspects. I haven't heard back from yet, but certainly no arrests. What they believe is this is, for sure, it's the first time it's happened in Boone County, something like this. But they're warning people if they get a call like this, hang up and also call that person back. And there's also talk about maybe a safe word to try to identify a question that only they would know the answers to, because clearly it wasn't her voice there. But
yeah,
they
but
used
they
AI.
had spoofed. It looked like it was coming from her phone.
Correct.
And there's another one I am aware of where it looked like it was the Boone County Sheriff calling someone saying you're going to get arrested.
Yes.
Because you didn't show up for jury duty or something,
Yes.
and you have to go pay this money. And like they just about did it.
Yeah.
So you call them back directly.
On the
also
number,
have
regular number.
a family safe word or phrase. And I sent this story to my parents because I'm on the radio all the time, so it would be easy for scammers to find enough samples of my voice to get an AI to fake my voice.
Yeah, any of us.
Yeah, any of us. So
That's what's frightening.
I'm
is
like,
the
here,
reality.
ask, you call back or whatever, but also you could ask like certain questions, like what was our first pet's name, something that wouldn't be on social media or on the internet.
That's a great idea.
That's smart. Something that's not going to be identifiable. But you're right.
But not something you'd forget, So, yeah.
And there's a chance these people are obviously, whoever did this, they're not located in the state, could be in another country. The investigation continues, but it is very scary. And obviously, they have not released a ton of information. And because there's no suspects, no charges, nobody's been arrested. We don't have court documents.
Well, usually these things are done through a VPN or some kind of, internet over phone protocol.
Somebody
right?
offshore.
Yeah.
And that's what you hear all the time with these kind of scams.
Yeah, and when we had Andrew Bailey on the other day, I was really disturbed to hear about he's seen these scam centers. They're like prisons, and they're keeping these people running these scams locked in there like prisoners. And it's just abysmal conditions. So these are really evil people that are running these centers.
Yeah, and I mean, it's literally human trafficking in some cases, but that is the status. Guys, just one other quick note. Great show. 939theeagle.com, national news story about a levee break in Northeast Missouri from 1993. James Scott's first parole hearing is today. Should he get parole or not is a question I've asked on our Facebook page, but take a look at that. That is a case, whatever decision they'll make.
Was it a bomb?
No, he allegedly broke, he's convicted of breaking a levee and causing
break
massive
a levee?
I'm going to look into that for my show this week.
It's on 939theeagle.com.
Okay, good stuff. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, lots to cover today, and we'll have some more tomorrow, no doubt, as we follow things in our state, in our world for you. Meanwhile, Drake's going to check in with Clavicular. We'll check in with Drake on that tomorrow.
Bye.